Hey everyone, it's Moo Mammo time. This is our little weekly program where we get together and we talk about Mutants Masterminds. I'm looking deep into the chat and I'm asking, can you hear me? How do I sound? Do you enjoy it?
Chat, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? We're talking about a Big Nate joint, and I too am a fan. Big Nate, submitted some stuff on the Fae. Can they not hear us?
It's not seeming that way. Either that or they're just enjoying their conversation too much.
Right? Oh, you do. Thank you, Warden. Sorry to interrupt the combo, friends.
Right? Sometimes I think it'd just be better off if we just left the chat to themselves. And
I sound okay? Just okay?
Wow.
You hear Steve too, right?
Maybe.
You ought to.
I hope you do. Steve's got to carry this conversation.
Right.
We hear you. Good. Me. And you hear
Good.
D. Do you hear the three of we? Okay, thank you, Nate. Jiminy.
I am, he is, you are, me is, you are, we, and we're all together.
Gentlemen, of course, for those for the uninitiated, I might say, the three of us is me, disembodied Troy, who hangs out just as a kind of a friendly cloud, a friendly mist.
Mhm.
You're a mist that's your friend.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
A friend-shaped mist.
A friend-shaped mist. And friend-shaped friends. Hi, guys.
Hello,
Hello, everybody.
So you've got Alex Thomas and you got Steve Kenson. Now, Alex is the line lead for Mutants and Masterminds, and Steve is the Mutants and Master Daddy.
Mm-hmm. So I'm told.
He loves and adores. T-shirts forthcoming. But so today's topic is descended from the Fae, but I wonder if we can take a little detour and perhaps talk about a brand new release.
Yes, let's do it.
Astonishing adventure. I'm going to pull that up right now, but first I'm going to go to the Green Rain Online store and I'm going to look for it. So it is brand new, hot off the presses. Do you want to talk a little bit about it while I'm futzing around in the background like some kind of professional?
Yeah. So it is new release day, and we're happy to report that Chrono Crisis 3 is out in the world now. Havoc for the Ages, the thrilling conclusion to our time travel trilogy of adventures that started fairly normal and went completely bananas by the end of the
right.
I love it. It's for sale right now. It's on sale. I wouldn't say it's on sale, but it's $5.99.
Yes, indeed. It is available for sale.
It is available for purchase. Yeah. And let me get a little, because I want to know what's going on the cover here. This is just wild. It's wild.
The answer is Alex was given too much power and an artist.
And access to an artist.
What have thou wrought?
So this is front and center. We have Gabrielle, who is the antagonist of Chrono Crisis. She is a frustrated artist calling out for no editorial interference or nobody telling her ideas are too much.
Listen, sister, I feel you. Oh,
right.
Been there. Get out of here. What? I do not need an assistant hide for this document. An AI pops up and says, "Hey, can I mess something up for you?"
Right.
Okay, so she's fighting the meddling fingers of the editors.
Yeah, and she thinks that time periods should be more like mashups and fusions instead of individual points in time. So we've got
all kept separate and siloed.
Yeah, so we've got laser legionnaires, we've got the cyberpunk golden age of piracy, werewolves attacking pilgrims, all sorts of good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I know, it looks crazy. So up at the top here, is that like some kind of post-apocalyptic?
Yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that is the Freedom City that you go to in the adventure, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Right, Paul? Paul says, I'd have been disappointed if it didn't. A time travel superhero story arc that doesn't go bananas? What's that good for?
Exactly.
I
Right?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Bob
anybody
Shear-
who's used to my adventure style anyway know that they typically go off the rails.
Yeah, right. I mean, and here's the fun thing. This is it's an adventure for 4 to 6 heroes and can take you either 1 to 17 days, depending on if Alex is running the game or not.
17 days. I can do way more than that.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of underselling. I know. Very, very cool. It is for sale in the Green Ronin online store. I'll be dropping a link here momentarily as soon as I stop this share. There we go. And pick it up. Now, I have it on good authority that the Cape and Cowl Club already had their, sort of Cape and Cowley fingers all over this.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is kind of fun. There's a link for you in chat. If if you're a member of the Cape and Cow Club and you did not get your copy, that's let me know. The Cape and Cow Club, of course, is our membership organization. It's the Atomic Think Tank is just filled with all manner of everything you could ever hope for. If you're a fan of Green Running games, if you are into Age, if you're into Disappearing Alexes, if you're into oh, there you are. It's changed.
What are you doing, camera?
Changed it to the swoon cam.
Wanted to give you a profile shot, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. What was I saying? Something really awesome. Oh yeah. Cape and Cow Club. The Cape and Cow Club is a it's not a secret group so much as it's you can sign up for $8 a month. First month is free right now. 2 additional months free. You pay if you pay for the yearly, and you get all kinds of good stuff. You get free Mutants and Masterminds publications. You get to hang out with these two and do some workshops and learn what it means to create TTRPG stuff. And the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, they got the Chrono Crisis first, really.
Yeah, indeed.
Very exciting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
some of them downloaded it before I got to.
Actually, I think that might be true.
Right.
Such is the way. Like you've got 30 drafts, 40 drafts of it all over your hard drive, but no final. So, friends, I'm looking into the chat. Look at everybody here.
Yeah, right.
So many folks are hanging out, and have Squires here. Good to see you. I just want to give a shout out to my wife. It's her birthday, 53 years young. Nice.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the
Lady Squire.
the Lady Squire, the
Yes.
Lady Mrs. Squire Cortez. Warden Maximus says 1 to 17 days does not account for scheduling. That is
It's
true.
not.
Takes at least that many days to figure out when we can get together. Let's see. Hey, Jay Gray, good to see you, friend. We were just talking about you and wondering I was going to poke you and make sure you're doing good. And Ogden says, for shame. I don't know why, particularly I think you might just hit the bullseye if you just throw out for shame at any point in time when we're talking. Let's see. I do like Claude says what did it say? If where did it go? Darn it. If not friend, why friend shaped? Yes, there we go. If not friend missed, then why friend missed shape?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Friend-shaped mist.
Friend-shaped mist. Let's see. Now we're talking about Nate Robbins says, I love her. Oh, you're talking. Oh, yes. I'm sure you're talking about our
About Mrs. Lady Squire?
or the
Or our villain?
Yeah, our
Gabby.
villain. Yeah, who really is she the villain? Honestly, I mean, I don't know.
Some of the things that are in the adventures, yes, she is definitely the villain. There's just
Bear, good to
there's
see you
just
too,
some,
my
like,
friend.
this isn't a time loop. This is an experiment on what post-modernist, industrialist, capitalist America is.
Right. This is very funny. So Bob Schuch says, Clippy. And that's the funniest thing because Clippy has been replaced by an AI that's just as useful as Clippy was.
Mm-hmm.
So very funny.
Yeah.
But even less charming.
Right. Yeah. Paul's got the right of
He's
it there.
Clippy had googly eyes.
Right. Yeah. And I guess all we really get with AI is misshapen fingers and a real nauseating way to eat food.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, so so we're talking about Fae folk. Tempo, good to see
Indeed.
you. 1 to 17 days if Alex is running sounds like a fool's GM style. Scenes where full
I think that might be full of a monsters GM style, in which case game recognized game player.
right.
Right.
Let's see. Oh, this is funny. Yeah, in a plot twist, Miss Lady Squire is the secret mastermind behind the Corona Crisis.
Well, last week we learned that Mrs. Lady Squire played the villain in Brinksmanship, so
Right.
Yeah, we
So
did.
this
Yeah.
could be another great opportunity.
So we've talked on the program many times and in several different ways about the Fae, and this time we put a little
Have.
spin on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different. Descended from the Fae.
Yes.
yeah. We have spoken at length about how to incorporate the Fae in your games as a GM, but I think today we really wanted to narrow in on what it looks like for a player character who is descendant from Fae realms or is a
Mhm.
Fae creature or that sort of how to play that and how to make it play well with everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, hey, real quick, SC Pilot. Yeah, you do. You won. So you need to you won the Woodland Critter character contest in the think tank, and so all you got
Awesome.
to do is do some shopping, and then send me a note, and then you will get the PDF of your choosing. Lots to choose from, so go do that.
Including,
So
of course, our newest Chrono Crisis adventure.
that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Malbertha. I don't know what this means, but it's funny. Descendant from the Fae. Get out of here, Malbertha. I'm supposing that that's maybe some kind of a play on naming Fae.
Mm.
If you're sort of a mix, what brings about? I mean, listen, I get it, I know, but what occurs that would bring a descendant of the Fae to? Are we talking like sort of a mixed human and Fae, or is it
Mhm.
or straight up Fae, or is it?
Could
Yeah.
be a lot of
Well,
possibilities.
Mm,
yeah, I could
Alex?
think of Earth Prime. We have one great example in Elflight,
Yep.
who is
okay.
Indeed.
an exchange
Student at
student
the
at Hero High.
Claremont Academy.
Now, with my luck, I would come out looking like that little toady Fae.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a particular kind of Fae, or is that just like the way that Fae has decided to come?
Well, because so many of the Fae are shapeshifters, it could be any kind of Fae.
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting. All right. So, is there? I suppose there's some interesting play in the I am a descendant of human and Fae, and that
Mm-hmm.
could have been sort of a
Mhm.
tumultuous sort of or a wonderful. I mean, depending on how you want to play it. Uh,
Right.
but now, what powers and stuff do you take? Like, it, it seems like the sky's the limit.
I mean, there are certain magical powers and effects that are most commonly associated with the Fae, but particularly illusions or glamours of some kind, things that are affect the senses or the mind or the emotions. But the great thing about the Fae as a source of character concept is because they're so very broad, and they come from so many different versions of them in different time periods and cultures. Pretty much anything you want,
Oh yeah,
could
yeah.
potentially be
Mhm.
justified, you know, based on the character's Fae background, as far as that goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some debate right now in chat about sort of the origin of the Fae. Like, is it Arthurian? Is it, like what?
Well,
And how do we?
the the classic, I mean, the Fae, as we often talk about them in classic terms, are basically derived from Celtic mythology, from originally the Irish Celtic myths about the Tuatha De Danann, and the succession of invasions of Ireland by these different peoples, and that eventually the Tuatha fade into the background, and as they say, go under the hill, and you get that sort of story that then blends into Arthurian myth from the classic Celtic period into the Roman period into the early Britain, uh, Anglo-Saxon period. But as Paul points out, lots and lots of cultures have mythology about sprightly or mysterious or animalistic spirit beings that are often tricksters or illusionists or shapeshifters or the like. So there are beings that have been classified as Fae, or they've been seen as having similarities to the classic Celtic fairy lore, over the years. And of course, gamers being gamers, as RPGs particularly have classified creatures, they've often lumped together a lot of the spirit shape changing tricksters and said, "Oh, these are all Fae."
Right,
Mhm.
right, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I think of some Japanese spirit,
right?
sort of tricksters and devious little, no offense to devious, but
Yeah,
little, troublemakers. That sometimes the trouble is you lose your soul.
yeah.
But that would,
You
Sometimes,
know.
yeah, or that you get eaten.
right?
You know,
That's right. It's exactly. So would here's a
But
question,
sometimes you get your head cut off and you get to be a spirit of vengeance forever.
right?
right?
So,
Bonus.
sometimes
Hey,
there's
interesting.
compensations.
So here's a question. Could you frame Descended from the Fae as somebody who has been afflicted by a Fae mischief magic or something, and that's the
Yes,
hero you play?
Mhm.
absolutely. There are all kinds of stories about people ending up at the wrong side of a Fey being in one form or another, whether it's a bad bargain or a curse because they've given some kind of offense, or any number of other things. And a character who is essentially under some kind of fairy enchantment could be a very interesting possible character, especially if their enchanted state carries some benefits to it that they
Mhm.
could use as superpowers.
What a
Yeah,
fun
one of
way.
the characters I really like is Thomas Reimer because he's sort of got that John Constantine going on, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
for demons, for the Fae.
But for the Fae, yeah,
Ah,
yep.
interesting.
And
Okay.
he, of course, is based on the actual classic character called Thomas the Rhymer from uh, the Fae poems and lore and the like.
Mm.
Got you. So Paul mentions that Thomas the Rhymer was a human abducted by the
Yep.
Fae as a child.
Actually, most of the stories about Thomas suggest that he was abducted as a young adult
I see. I
by the
see.
Fairy Queen.
Because she
Interesting. And
thought
so
he was
here's
pretty.
Yeah.
and so here's a question then. So what like would Krampus be I'm just kind of throwing it out there because it happens to be
Yep.
one of my favorite Christmas characters. So is Krampus Fae?
Could be. Certainly, a lot of the elves and other beings that are associated with Santa Claus's mythology are very Fey-like.
Sure, yeah.
Much more
Mhm.
derived from a lot of the Germanic elven myths than the Celtic ones. But again, there's so much commonality that they tend to get all mushed together.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Pook
Santa
mentions
Claus has a lot of Fae qualities too, just like
Yep.
a lot of weird
yeah,
rules and things that he does.
kind of double-edged sword type.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, exactly. So if you are good, then you get a present. If you're on the naughty list, you get coal and shamed, I guess, or whatever. And if you're
Hmm.
if you're Krampus, eaten, I guess,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
thrown into a sack and
Yeah, put in a
eaten.
bag and beat with birch rods.
That's right.
Which is
So
something anybody could do to you. Just you don't have to be abducted by the Fae to get stuffed in a bag and beaten with birch rods.
well, how do you recommend that people? Sorry, I love this show because only here would we have this kind of conversation?
Right.
I'm weighing the various pros and cons of being, thrown into a sack and beaten with sticks. But
Some
I'm
places
curious.
you pay a lot for that experience.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's like whole Turkish baths that are set up for that very
Right.
thing. But I did want to ask about how would you recommend players navigate the Fey-like or borrowing from other cultures, or what is the process they should kind of go through to you know manifest their Fey powers or whatever?
I think a good place to start is honestly just delving into the stories and the lore.
Mm,
Um, find a good book on fairy mythology of any kind. Ideally, the especially sort of comparative world mythology stuff, and look through it for inspiration. And be like, "Ooh, here's a fun idea," for this type of character, and it can range, from tiny winged fairies to giant monstrous fairies to everything in between, as far as potential character types.
Stan, shame. The only Fae. Yeah.
Only Fae.
Love that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. And hey, have you two ever seen the books with the pressed fairies?
Yes.
Oh, one of the best. It got me thinking about somebody who has some kind of a grudge. Maybe they're cursed or whatever. But what a fun complication that you are collecting fairies to,
Yeah.
catalog and find the
Yeah.
cure to your whatever.
That could even be a
Yeah.
really fun, character concept, is a summoner character who
Oh,
can conjure up all kinds of fairies. That they're not, or maybe they are descended from the Fae themselves, or maybe they just have a connection that lets them call on the Fae. They've got an ancient
yeah,
family lineage where a lot of Fae owe their family favors, um,
that's
and
awesome.
they
I,
can call on them.
It would
Steve,
also
I,
be
I
really
want
fun.
to, I
But go
want to
ahead,
play
Al.
a character, Steve, who doesn't know that he has a connection to the Fae, and the fairies just show up to help.
Well, wouldn't that
The
be
fairies just think he's neat.
a great sort of modern Johnny Thunder type character,
Yeah,
who just goes around wishing for things, and the Fae are like, "Ah, all right,
I
like
guess.
we got to fulfill this guy's wishes for another 99 years."
it would be hilarious if there was some sort of countdown that maybe he wasn't aware of, but that when at some point the debt is paid and they don't have
Right.
to do the thing anymore. Like, what a fun juxtaposition to play with that. Like,
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that a
that
lot.
character would definitely have complications though, where sometimes the fairies do what they think he wants.
Yep.
Like,
Right.
Right. Or fulfill the letter of what he asked for.
Very literal
mhm,
interpretations or wild, like, it would be really funny too if based on the personality of the particular fairy who's delivering the help, it could be wildly misinterpreted or mean spiritedly to the letter. How
Yep.
fun.
mhm.
Very,
Yep.
very clever. I bet that there's a way to kind of make a fun sort of table to sort of
Hmm.
represent that kind of a
Yeah. You absolutely could.
yeah, what a blast.
Yeah, I think just one other thing that you were talking about that I think when you're envisioning your Fae character, um, doing the research and then looking for ways that you could superhero it, like really, and like
Yes.
injecting that genre
Okay,
in
yeah.
as well, sort of how Norse mythology has been done in Marvel, where
Yep.
there's a lot of superhero stuff stuffed into the mythology on top of that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really
Absolutely.
good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You can see it in their composition and sort of the way that they do their thing. It's definitely a superhero lens on the Norse
Yeah.
mythology. I like that.
Yeah. Very much the same idea when you're looking at the Fey mythology, is kind of twist it in that direction.
I love that. Let's see. King Snarf says, I'm just catching up to chat. Lots of good stuff. If you made a point and we have not gotten it, be go ahead and repost it. Don't do it crazy, but let us know. Faye Express Delivery Service. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that does make me think about the uh, Miyazaki
Mhm.
all of that.
The Spirited Away sort
Yeah,
of,
Spirited
and
Away.
Kiki's
Yeah,
delivery. Spirited Away, by the way, is a great Miyazaki interpretation of the fairy realm, of
yeah.
where characters end up in this weird sort of alternate world. There's all sorts of weird rules to it, and restrictions about what they can do and how they can get out, and very much like a being trapped in fairy.
Was that the one where they kind of had a parade of all of the sort of Fey like spirits in the you could look at them or something, or maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but
Mm.
uh, I need to yeah, I'm not sure what I'm remembering, but I'll sure forget it by the time we're done. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, interesting. Okay, so where do gargoyles fit into this world?
So Disney's Gargoyles cartoon actually has a big connection to the Fae, because for whatever reason, because of the Arthurian mythos connection with the gargoyles, they brought in all of the sort of Fae elements of that mythology. So Avalon is the Fae realm, and
Uh,
Oberon and Titania from Shakespeare are important fairy figures, and it's actually a great example of just the weird sort of comic book mashup of different mythologies that you can get by starting with, hey, what if the weird gargoyles on castles were superheroes?
right. Yeah. Well, and also a very interesting template for folks who to kind of look to it for inspiration on how to make the myth yours,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
Mhm.
borrow a
But
bit here.
also, what if we put the castle on top of a skyscraper?
right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't be a superhero not in New York. You out of your mind?
You got to be in New York. Yeah, exactly.
So other considerations or things I really like. I'm fascinated with the idea of someone cursed by Fae who is now has leveraged that into a superhero ability or villain perhaps. But what are some of the storylines or things that someone descended from Fae would find themselves in, sort of the milieu, if you will. Like what's the
So
vibe?
this is a dumb idea, but I like it.
Okay.
Um, there there's a superhero named the Cobbler who is followed constantly by a stream of cobbler elves who help him do shoe-based heroics on people.
I love it. Could they also dabble in cookies, maybe?
Oh
Right.
yeah, yeah. These elves just sort of live in him, like in his clothes and his shoes. They sort of ratatouille him
Ah,
and
Right.
I see.
do all the little elf things.
Right. You could play around a lot with the cobbler and brownie myths about the sort of household fae that do chores
Yeah.
and things like that. And that do things like the Rumpelstiltskin story about spinning straw into gold and those sorts of things.
Mhm.
Of a fae or a clan of fae or whatever you want, that go around making all of those cool superhero costumes, or supervillain
Mm.
costumes for that matter, but are the ones like usually in the comics, super costumes are some kind of weird scientific thing like unstable molecules or what have you. It'd be interesting if in a particular superhero setting they all had a magical source. And
Yeah.
there's this it's like if Edna Mode turned out to actually be a like fairy queen,
Right.
and her workshop was all literally run by elves, and they were making all of these weird super costumes that for some reason are completely immune to people's powers and adapt to whatever they do and have all of these weird properties. But of course the Fae have all of these very specific rules of like how you have to request things from them, how you thank them, how you don't thank them,
Right.
in particular ways. And it would be very interesting to see what happens when somebody who gets one of these magical costumes breaks the rules,
Oh,
either
right. What
intentionally
happens
or
then?
otherwise.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm.
it would just be a fun thing to do, especially if most characters don't know it's the Fae.
It would
You
be
know,
very
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. It would be very interesting to see the Fae inspired by superheroes wanting to create some mischief in that world and creating, like you're saying, this sort of,
right,
workshop of just madness, and it sounds great at first, and then,
right.
3 villains later, and you're I don't know what. I love that
Yeah.
notion. So, what are some of these?
King Snarf says that there apparently is this concept has been done in the comics, which doesn't surprise me because every comic
Because
concept has been done at one point
I
or
was
another.
proud of us, Steve.
Right? I think it would be fun.
I was too.
I can neither confirm nor deny because I don't have any recollection of that story, but wouldn't
I
surprise me
wasn't
in the
alive in the
slightest.
80s.
So
Oh, no, late 90s.
Me either.
late 90s. You were so alive. I don't know if you were reading yet, but
That was in the late 90s.
Is Hellboy Fae?
well, no, Hellboy is from hell.
Well,
So
okay,
unless you think that the demons and devils are Fae, although interestingly enough, as folks will point out, the Fae do have a mythical connection with hell.
what is it?
Well, amongst other things, there's the story or the reference from Shakespeare's *Midsummer Night's Dream* that the Fae have to tithe to hell every 7 years, and that basically suggests that fairy is sort of a vassalage of hell. And certainly there are lots of associations, especially in medieval Christianity, that associate fairies and demons largely interchangeably,
Right.
and suggest that a lot of the things that repel demons repel fae and vice versa. Fae were supposed to be repelled by things like church bells and holy ground and that sort of a thing.
Yeah. So, what are the hang-ups or the traps and tropes and tricks of of the Fae? Like, I know that there's something like if there's a fairy ring, you're supposed to leave them milk, or what do? You don't feed them. You
Yeah.
feed them after midnight. You
There's
don't let them swim. Something.
there's a lot of basically a lot of the hangups with the Fae boil down to player consent,
Yeah,
which I think is what you need to get it. That's the warning you need to give to the player is
Nice.
you're dealing
Yeah.
with the Fae. There's a chance you will be captured and kept by them,
Right.
or if you break their rules, you will be beholden to them, or they may put a gaius on you to make you do something that you don't want to do.
Right.
Which that's always a sticky situation to be in.
yeah,
You want to really build up trust with your players and let them know that you're not going to abuse them with this knowledge. It's going to be
Yeah.
a complication in a way that moves the story forward, not
hmm
not a power fantasy.
Right, right. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we've got consent. Now what are the what is the because it's sort of like a deal with the devil only maybe just, a little more sparkly.
Yeah, I mean, the fairy. I mean, the classic fairy tales are always the great examples of deals with the fae. It's we will give you our firstborn child in exchange
Mhm.
for fabulous riches and a lifetime of ease, those kinds of things. Those are the deals. Even the classic, the Little Mermaid. She'll give her voice in exchange for having legs and being able to walk on land. Is a classic fairy transformation deal.
Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, Paul, that's interesting. So Rowan Berry's red thread, turning your clothes inside out, all of those weird things. Like, is
Yep.
there a thing where Fae don't necessarily like is it Fae that like or maybe I'm thinking of vampires or some werewolves or something that can't cross
Yep.
a body of water?
That's vampires primarily, although the lore gets mixed up a lot. And of course, just like modern interpretations of vampires, game masters can play around with that a lot and have the Fae be like, "Yeah, that one's not true."
Right,
Yeah.
Like
right,
I guess
right.
the whole
the headless horseman couldn't cross the covered bridge. I guess that might be where that's coming from.
That could be an example of that.
Yeah, I just remember, I thought it was vampires, but anyway. But
Yeah.
what I love about this too is this sort of like anybody who tries to befriend them gets a friend, but it's a weird friend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there is also a lot of that, like the dimensional imp characters in the comics, like Batmite is a great example of a friendly fae that you kind of wish wasn't your friend.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Where it's like, stop helping me.
What a hilarious complication if you are, you're a hero who's beholden to or has, you befriended Fae somehow, some way, and
Hmm.
everyone around you gets to reap the benefits of that,
Yep.
which, vary in degree in like super extravagantly, wildly, what is this? A big pile of gems to, why are all my fingers thumbs? Like, that kind of, vacillating back and forth. I love it.
Is AI Fae?
Right.
Oh, maybe.
Many would say, in terms of the
AI.
usual tests, like check the backgrounds and count the fingers and see if the eyes are right.
Right.
you
Yes,
know,
exactly. That is it has that vibe, only it's a little more irritating because it's crammed. Well, no, I guess maybe. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
if you were being afflicted by Fae, it would be crammed into everything that you
Right,
did.
right, and it's found everywhere.
Full of a monster, not a fan of Batmite.
Aw, I always liked Batmite, but
Love
Yeah.
it.
I have a soft spot for Mixie Zipitlik too.
yeah, I tend to agree.
Oh, this is fun too. The notion that there's an etiquette, and sometimes a
Yes,
very strange etiquette, but
yes.
nonetheless, and also noticing that someone has done something in poor taste, or
Mhm.
is
Yep,
mean to a
yep.
animal, or what have you.
And, of course, culturally, fairy stories were often used to teach etiquette to children.
Ah,
It was
right.
about you have to behave politely because you never know when one of the good folk will come along, and if you're impolite to them, they will curse you or take you away.
Boo, a pook. Brilliant though, brilliant. Um, Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and I love that because I could imagine, even a storyline wherein the hero has to leave for an extended period of time, then comes back to see what the Fae have managed for them in their absence. Like
Yeah,
just
Hmm.
yeah.
that'd be a lot of fun.
It could also be really interesting because there are definitely stories or ideas that the Fae don't create, they imitate. And that's why fairy sort of reflects our world and our culture in some ways. The
Ah,
Fae copy our shapes and our elements of our world. And it would be very interesting for superheroes to visit fairy for the first time, and then on a return visit discover that they have inadvertently influenced Fae culture, such that now the Fae are all about superheroes,
right.
and now they all want to be superheroes.
I love that. That is hilarious that they've influenced the culture of it all, and then the next time they start seeing people dressing up as them, or like that's hilarious. I love that.
I
How would
think
you even
maybe might
portray
be a
that?
now.
Great.
I think now might be a good point to say, if you're gonna play a fake character, please don't be annoying.
Or
Yeah,
just be annoying enough.
that's the challenge. Is unfortunately sometimes playing a Fae character is like I'm going to play a chaotic neutral character, and
Yeah,
it's I'm just playing my character as super annoying as the way they should be.
yeah. Make sure the group is laughing with you, not in
Right,
spite of
right.
you.
Right.
Not wanting to kill you.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. As a person who can sometimes hi Alex.
There are gremlins in my computer. They didn't
Right.
like that.
They
I
did not
love
care
it.
for that at all.
But as someone who has often been, I've been told that I have the demeanor of a Fae folk, in the sense of like, mischief causing
Hmm.
and all of that.
Hmm.
It is a double-edged sword because there are people who
Yeah,
are just,
there.
even though it may make you laugh, the world may not be laughing with you.
Yeah, this
Hmm.
is just basic player advice, but make sure that everything you're doing is to help everybody have a good time, not just you have a good time.
Right.
Hey, a good
Indeed.
point. A yes-anding, as
Yep.
opposed to a blocking and a mic hogging.
Yes. Very much.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's important during session 0 when you're bringing up that you want to play a fake character, getting, telling, having the other players have an input on, how often is Faye going to interfere with our typical
Right.
adventures, or,
Right. How much
yeah,
wacky hijinks is this going to involve?
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
or
And
is this
yeah,
really, really scary and messed up because you're a changeling and that's not good.
Right. Right. Yeah, because some of the fairy stories are very dark,
Hmm.
as far as that goes, and
yeah.
there also are definitely also some issues of just people's lines, in what they want in a campaign, and the respecting people's limits.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And even if you're playing, your fairness or your affliction by the Fae to the letter,
Mhm.
sometimes you need to make sure that you're, ratcheting that back so that it's not painful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
is Orko
Also,
Fae?
Orko is definitely a Fae-like character.
Yeah.
In fact, he's another one of those classic characters who's an imp from another dimension, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Other dimensional Fae
Hmm.
and what they may
Yeah.
appear.
Well, a lot of versions of the Fae, especially in the comics, basically suggest that fairy is another dimension, essentially.
Got it. Got it. Hey, Alex, Doc Void wants to make sure you know that he hates Superman. Just,
oh,
just so you're aware.
I mean, people are allowed to be wrong.
Right.
Let's see. Well, so what are some resources? We've kind of talked about historical figures, and there's certainly a lot of. I can hear the Google engines fired up.
Hmm.
Orca's a Jawa.
Orko's a
I agree
Jawa.
with that. I do agree with that, actually.
Jawa are of the Fae. Those are Star Wars Fae creatures.
Yep.
I love it. What are some recommended reading? Where are some places that people can go to kind of get a foundation and also inspiration?
Well, I mean, classically start with things like the classic, like Grimm's fairy tales and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Pick up books on fairy lore. There are tons of reference guides, just like dictionaries of the Fae, in terms of, or encyclopedias, I guess, that are just like lists and lists, because there are hundreds of varieties of Fae classified from different cultures and the like all over the place.
Yeah, required reading. Lady Coddington's Pressed Fairy book.
Yeah, indeed.
It's
I
just
think,
it's the right kind of mischief.
yeah. I also think Fables by Bill Willingham is a really good
Mm,
graphic novel series
yep,
to get into modern day fairy stories.
fairy tales. Yeah,
Well, modern as in like 20 years ago, but close enough.
yeah.
Sure, I mean, yeah. Um, so how do goblins play in the Fae world? Are they?
Well, goblins are fairies,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Oftentimes,
Mhm.
I mean, you have all kinds of bogarts and goblins and red caps and other, creepy and kind of monstrous Fae creatures in all of the stories. So a lot of those beings are Fae as well. Kobolds.
I
Yeah.
love
Okay.
kobolds
Very
so much.
interesting.
You
I'm
know.
thinking about all of the instances of of Fey influence in our society, in our reading, in our writing, and it's pretty pronounced, isn't
It
it?
is. It
Yeah.
is. The naturalist movement in the Victorian age was fascinated with Celtic lore and fairy stories, and
Yeah.
it's where we get a lot of our modern interpretations of fairy tales, as well as the classic little tiny winged fairies.
Oh,
Um,
right, right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Puck from Shakespeare, sure. Yeah. I mean that whole Midsummer Night's Dream is all
yep,
about.
all
Yeah.
about fairies.
Mhm.
Yep, fairy courts.
Um, I'm sorry, Doc. I didn't mean to out you on your hatred of Superman. But I'm here to report the news. Yeah. Alex, he also shares that he's been reading some recent Superman stories lately. Mid, he says.
Oh,
Hmm.
War World and the Rebirth stuff have been meh. So there you go. More of that for you.
Well,
Goblins are goblins,
Troy,
unless
Troy is
they're.
a completely reliable reporter about that sort of thing, so I have no
That's
reason to
Troy
doubt
is of
that.
the Fae.
That's right. Now, who
Troy is the
is?
ambassador of the chat, which is the ultimate Fae creature.
Right.
I love this little liminal space where mischief can be made. Of course, Doc Void loves Superman, or whatever. Baba Yaga. Is
Hmm.
Baba Yaga the house with legs?
Yep, she's
Yep.
the witch that has the hut that walks around on giant chicken legs.
There we
Yeah.
go.
I guess she's not the hut. She has the hut.
Yes.
She lives in the legged hut.
Yep,
Yeah.
indeed.
Interesting. Okay, and so then isn't there what is that monster? It's something Baba Baba.
Are you thinking about the Babadook?
Yeah, the Babadook. What's the
That's
Babadook?
also, I mean, it's a great rendition of depression, but it is it does operate
Fey-like
under Fey
creature.
rules.
Yeah.
It drops off
Yeah.
a picture book at your front door, and if you read
Yep.
it to your kid, you're cursed.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Jabba's
Well,
wife?
I mean, the whole Monsters Inc. movie is basically a weird modern interpretation of fairy in a lot of regards. It's this alternate dimension full of weird monsters that have their own particular set of rules.
Right. And many of them kind of with their own vengeance or their own set of that
Mhm.
they're pretty particular and mad about a thing, and if you do that thing, then you're in for it.
Yep.
Let's see.
Indeed.
Checking the chat.
But there's definitely a crossover between hags and witches
Oh,
and
okay.
fairy creatures as far as that goes, and there's a lot of sort of wiggle room there.
I was thinking the same thing. Doc Void says, so it's like The Ring. Is that kind of a Fae inspired?
A little more of a ghost story, but again, the crossover between ghosts and the Fae is sort of similar. There's a lot of similar mythology, and there's a lot of, are the Fae just trooping ghosts of the dead? Um,
Yeah, we got it. Doc Void
Yeah, I
says
think
the Babadook, but yeah.
I think the word "fey" has sort of like become the word "quantum," where it can mean a lot of things,
yes,
Sure,
and
that's
it
well
just gets
said.
thrown around to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of these concepts are tied together ideal-wise.
hmm
Like they
yeah,
represent the same idea in cultures, but
yep, indeed. And
Yeah.
depending on how mixed up or separate you want your mystical realms to be in your campaign. There may be a lot of crossover. There's that you can very easily, like in Paragons, where basically the imageria, the realm of the imagination, essentially, is the only alternate dimension, but everything lives there.
Right.
Basically everything humanity has ever thought of literally lives there. So from the Fae to deities to mythology to ghosts to cartoon characters, everything's there.
I love that. Giants and harpies and
is
witches.
Roger Rabbit is Roger Rabbit fey?
Well, I mean, Bugs Bunny is definitely, a lot of people have said, basically the very essence of a Fae trickster.
Right, absolutely. Let's see. Any movie that features Sean Connery music number. A Sean Connery music number? Is that a thing that happens on this earth?
Darby
France is
O'Gill.
one of the greatest films of all time. Okay, sure. Um, oh, here's a question. So the Feywild as a existence, what's the tone? What is that like? Is it just madness? Is it like what are we looking at?
I say deceptively whimsical is how I would portray the Feywild.
Yeah, I would say that
Like it's
a place like the Feywild
go ahead, Steve.
is like sort of Disneyfied in some ways,
Yeah.
in that everything is it's like everything could potentially talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
Everything sort of has a spirit or a personality to it, and sometimes not so nice.
Right.
Potentially.
Oh, interesting. Tempo mentions Banshee. Weren't
Yep.
necessarily ghost or undead,
Yeah.
but rather Fae who
In
mourn.
fact, Banshee literally means woman fairy.
Well, there you go. Interesting. So we have been doing this program for how many? I like this. Feywild is an acid trip. Sure, why
Yeah.
not? Yeah, make it a little.
Trippy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we have been doing Mutants and Masterminds Monday now for I think going on our 30th year, and
Right.
and
Thereabouts.
and never fail to learn a little something more, not just about sort of the nature of storytelling and all of that. And that's always kind of a fun, road to kind of walk down and building your own individual skills. But the notion of like I just hadn't really quite overlaid the influence that the whole Fae, sort of myth, if you will. Just kidding, Fae, or whatever. No curses, no curses. But
Yeah.
it is a very interesting. It's ubiquitous, and what a fun way to explain why things go haywire, and
Right.
what.
Yeah, Troy, it's just one pass of the baton from foundation myths to today
Oh,
with
Yeah.
love
superheroes.
it! I absolutely,
Yeah.
I love that
Like
statement. It's very interesting.
there was mythology, there was fairy
Now they're
tales, now there's
superheroes.
superheroes,
Yeah.
and
Well, then, what does that make me? Alex is the caterpillar, and Steve is the Mad Hatter. Am I?
they said you're the
Oh,
Right.
White Rabbit.
okay. Isn't the White Rabbit a little bit like, well, neurotic? I suppose that does apply.
Hmm.
Always late. Yeah. Okay. Maybe
Might
maybe
be
this
onto
is
something.
maybe a little too close.
I'm a stoner caterpillar.
Right. I love it. Oh my gosh, it's 3:52.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, this later time is, made me a little relaxed. It's kind of put me in
Right.
a little bit of an evening mood. And I almost forgot that we only do this for an hour, and then we're going to roll into what's in the tank with Devious. But
Indeed.
what we do this. What is happening in the Steve Kenson cinematic universe?
Well, as we will be talking about next week on M&M Monday, we are gearing up to do some play testing for forthcoming M&M projects and products. So, if you have not as yet checked out the Atomic Think Tank and the Cape and Cowl Club, uh, this week would be a great time to do that in advance as we are gearing up to ask our, especially our really dedicated fans in the Cape and Cowl Club to take a look at some upcoming M&M projects and give us their feedback. It's something that we haven't had a lot of opportunity to do in recent years, so I'm really glad that we are getting a chance to start doing it again.
Absolutely. Very exciting stuff. So do not sleep on the Cape and Cow Club. And I'm going to drop a little link because it's all about the links.
Yep.
And it'll take you to the Cape and Cow Club, and you can thank you, Nate. Here comes your link, friend, as commanded. Click there, and then you'll learn all about what all the benefits and bonuses and fun stuff. And this one is
Yes.
not listed,
I was
so
going to say this is on top of all
the
of the other ones.
bonus. Yeah, absolutely awesome. That's exciting. Anything else you want to add to the?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I don't think so. I think that we're otherwise we're moving along quite nicely.
Yeah, yeah, at a nice clip. Alex, how
Yes,
about you?
indeed.
What's going on in your world?
Uh, Wednesday, I'll be back for Freedom Week Dark in the Multiverse of the Master Mage as we face off against something horrible Eldritch left behind in a zombie infested mall for our
Nice, thanks, friend.
Um, theoretically, I've got a karaoke competition tomorrow night, but we'll see how that
Right,
goes.
you were
You,
saying that.
you might need to sit that one out.
Right, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, the songs you're singing or the song you're singing doesn't take advantage of your current husky kind of gravelly chanteuse voice or whatever they. It's more of a high
Yeah.
pitch. Yeah.
Supposed to be singing Meatloaf, and I feel more like Johnny
Yeah.
Cash right now.
Yeah. Well, as they say, rest your loaf, lest ye be cash, cash like. It's an old proverb that you probably
Right.
haven't heard before, but now you have.
Man, the
It
70s
was a
was weird.
weird
You have no
time,
idea.
man. It was very weird. So with that, I think that we are done. Everybody you're going to want to hang out where you're hanging out because we are going to jump into what's in the tank.
Oh, Troy, don't you have a message for everybody from our
that is very
valuable friend?
true. That I it doesn't quite work like that, but pretend like You didn't hear Alex say that. Oh, let me see. Now, what am I? That will be our transition.
Yes.
But here we go. 1 second. What's that noise? This is a fail. Listen.
You gonna get that, Troy?
What is this? Oh, look, it's
Help!
well, we do this for the showmanship. They come for the professionalism.
Right.
Yeah. Damsel in Distress wants to remind you, make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing. If you're watching over on Facebook, why? I know I appreciate it and we love you. But if you're over on YouTube, yeah, share that link. Leave a comment. Answer someone else's question for us. Maybe send the link to your grandmother because she's been wanting to hear from you. She's really disappointed, and is looking forward to maybe getting to know us and you and also you as a result. And the two of you can sit and listen to all back episodes of Mutants Masterminds Monday, and just revel in the time together because it is a magical time, and we want more people to know about it and to hang out with us and have fun.
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely. And if you've got there's some holdout, some curmudge, some cranky somebody who's like, I won't listen to that show because I'm a crank. You know what? Send them links to all your favorite episodes, and honestly, send them a link to me. I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to say, like, help me help you. And other such things. But no, really, honestly, spread the word. And one of the things that I love about what we've done over the course of
Our 30 years.
our 30 years of broadcasting together is if there is a subject or if you need a treatment on a certain approach to, you name it, you're going to find it in the Mumamo library. It's a great, someone was just saying, hey, I really want to, I want to play around with some alternate ideas for speedsters. And I was like, hey, take a look at this whole episode that we did on speedsters. So, look to us, look to that as a resource, and share it. And we will be eternally grateful. And the algorithm will release Daedalus unharmed. Right? Okay, friends. Thank you both for hanging out. I want to thank chat for all the great Fae-based conversations. Stay tuned. Stay in your seats because we're going to be talking about what's in the tank. Lots of great stuff there. So with that, I say farewell, friends.
See you, everybody. Troy looks for the button.
We're still here.
I'm telling you, this whole Fae thing is really kind of chunks things up, but that's okay.
You invoke the Fae, that's what you get.
That's right. All right, guys. Get out of here, you scamps. As I try to get back to what I want is
I've got to find the button too. Before I get out of here.
Oh well, listen. This is all part of it's part of the treat that is Mumamo. Yeah, it's exactly. It's it's not all awesome stuff. I don't know. I think this is pretty awesome myself. But listen to this. Here comes the music. Yay! Indeed, it's time for what's in the tank, and you know what that also means is that you get to hang out with, well, I mean, I would say a tank regular, a tank aficionado, none other than Devious. Where are you, my friend? You are tiny and small, and we want you to be not that. What's happened to you, friend? There you are. Hi.
Well, before we go on, I just want to finish the story. You know, there I was at the end of the slip and slide. Then I look back and I suddenly see country western star Conway Twitty barreling at me like a bat out of hell on his back, butt first with
Oh.
feet pointing towards Jesus, dressed
Oh.
in nothing but a liberal coating of Dawn dish detergent and a thong 2 sizes too small.
Nobody likes a
When
liberal.
my face made contact with it, are we live?
We are live. No, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we know.
oh,
Yeah, no.
oh, uh, mm, uh, mm. Oh, sorry, everyone.
You know, Dogpoint says, you going to remember to let Devious do his sign off this week, Troy? I do every time, don't I?
Close enough.
Do I?
I think you clipped me off on the last time, but it was like
I don't know. I think it clipped
it
you
was-
off. I think YouTube did.
one of us did. I don't know.
I do like to just randomly clip people off when they're talking. I do not. I think this whole Fae thing is a bad rap. A bad rap, I say.
No, it's they're just misunderstood.
That's what I say.
They're full of love and happiness and joy.
They just want to laugh with or
right.
at you.
One
But
of them.
all that being said, I don't think I ported over one flippin' thing. Let me see. How about this? Listen.
So, super spy, your President Reagan will not help you now. You are a prisoner of the United Soviet Socialist Republic, and you will answer our questions. Tell us, what's in the tank?
You know, the thing about it is that all you got to do is hang out for a minute or two, and you'll find out exactly what's in the tank.
That's all. That's all you got to do. That's it.
It's a lot of spending energy in just a very negative way, I'll say.
I know.
You know,
You didn't have to lock anybody up or
no.
torture anybody. You just got to
No.
hang out in the tank. You'll find
No.
out.
Yeah, I mean, it might be its own special kind of torture, but you know, here we
that's
are.
true. Yeah, there it is.
Should have known
Absolutely.
better.
Should have known butter. What?
Should have known better.
Oh, that's true. No
I love
butter.
it.
Delicious.
Yeah,
On a
made with
croissant.
fresh gnomes.
Yes.
So here's my
You have
question
to
for
whip
you.
them very, very quickly, though.
What's in the tank?
Well,
Shan't we?
we shall. Make me big, Troy.
Abracadabra.
And there we are. What's in the tank today? What's in the tank? January 26th. Well, that was yesterday anyway. That's when I put it up.
Yeah.
Remember, Mumamo, if you don't know by now, Mumamo is 1 hour later.
It is.
You might be joining now going like, where's Alex? Where's Steve? Well, you got here too late.
Yeah, no, you did get here too late. And you might have gotten here an hour early, and you were an hour early.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's one truth. You'll know when it's Mumamo when you see us Mumamoing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we Mumamo with the best of them.
Well, we do. We might have even invented Mumamoing. But
It's true.
All right.
What we have in the tank in the Freedom City Library, we have Torque the Brobarian with his Brobarian Idiotum's Power Battle Armor Suit. Because remember, we did the Power Armor last time around.
Yeah.
And we have also, I did an article on hot takes, devices, and equipment and how that plays out for power armor in the game. And I also did a brief history of powered armor in science fiction for folks, basically going over the history of it in fiction and hopefully giving a little information about how it evolved.
Well, folks might not know is Torque the Brobarian is also our resident expert as it relates to
Valiant.
Yeah, Valiant. And really, honestly, a wealth of information, and we of course Valiant's on the horizon as far as being developed and all of that for using Mutants Masterminds. And so, say hi to Torque and ask him some questions.
That's right. If you want to know more about Valiant and the world itself,
You know,
Torque's the
even if
man
you
to
don't want to
ask.
know, yeah, even if you don't want to know, just
Ask him anyway.
ask anyway. Ask everybody anything. All Mumamonays.
Mumamones?
No.
Mumamamas?
Mumamonays.
I like
Sandwich.
Mumamas.
I like it too. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Go on.
Oh, no problem. And of course, Steinbrewer and Matt Mabray knocking down headstones, blowing out headphones, doing
My
the do.
notifications is either Steinbrewer or Matt Mabray.
Ding,
off.
ding, ding. That's Steinbrewer and Matt Mabray right there. That's them. We've got solo good guys of Earth 49. We've got all the way up to a volume 15 of that. And solo bad guys, we've got up to a volume 14. There's multiples in there. Matt Mabray doing more Liberty League returns, doing like some Golden Age stuff with the Scarab and Scarab Girl sidekick type stuff. More kind of like male and female partners, like Bullet Man and Bullet Woman. I actually think it was Bullet Girl because she wasn't a woman yet. I don't know why she's hanging out with a man. That's just wrong.
That's a little troubling. Yeah.
I know, but Jack
There
Kellum
was
has.
Batman and Batgirl.
Oh, that's true, but she more hung out with Robin, really.
Truth. Yeah.
But we have punk rock from Jack Kellum in there as well, and just of course, just Matt Mabray and the gang doing their due. And speaking of Valiant, don't forget, the Valiant Adventures role playing game pre-orders are available now. And of course, we've got some interesting articles. Sorry, whoops. Up there that I just put up. We have Fairies, the Fae Realm, and the Fae Touched in Mutants and Masterminds. I go into detail about, the Pact and the Fae Realms, Courts of the Fae, including information about powers and everything else like that, the different abilities they have, weaknesses of the Fae, and how that can be done in game terms. But that plays directly into dun dun dun. Guess what?
Hey.
The next Mumamo challenge.
Yes.
Fae and Fabulous, the Fae Touch Challenge. I'm getting ready to actually click post right now on that.
Ooh, I just sneezed.
And it's out there.
So now you do, and I've seen it both ways. But it's there's Fae, which is FAE, and Fae, which is FEY. But they mean the same thing, right?
Yeah. I tried to get basically use it as it was in the book.
Okay.
Let me tell you a little bit about this challenge. I just put something out there, and actually, Big Nate just put a great article in the
Holy
Aegis
smokes, it
files.
was so good.
He just needs to go put a hashtag on it, and that's a great entry right there.
Yeah, it really is. Actually, he posted a couple different things, all of them very impressive. So that was great stuff, Nate. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. It's, are you ready to embrace the whimsy, wonder, and wildness of the Fae? It's time for the first Moon Mammal Challenge. Well, not really the first one. I think it's the second one now. Anyway, we're diving headfirst in the mystical world of the Fae Touched. We're going to be doing the challenge to create an original Fae Touched character or Fae race that captures the essence of the Fae. And you've got to have, basically, they've got to either be Fae Touched, which means of like a bloodline. You have mortal blood in you, but you're also kind of related to the Fae in distance, or you can do something straight from the Fae realms that somebody might encounter if they're over there in the Fae realm. A true Fae, a pure-blooded Fae. You can create an individual hero, villain, or neutral party, or an entire Fae race. Detail their origin, personality, role in the world, what's their connection to the Fae, and the Fae influence in them. Stat out their abilities with a stat block. Put that in the Aegis files. And put an adventure hook in there or two if you want to. Bonus points, creative twists on traditional Fae archetypes or myths for investigating Fae themes deeply in the character's personality, powers, narrative role, for exploring unique challenges and opportunities of being Fae touched in a modern world. Deadline is February 9th, 2025 at 5 p.m. CST. Winners will be announced on February 10th, 2025 during the Mamamo broadcast, which is like right before Valentine's Day. Pretty special
Oh,
there.
have a heart.
And of course, prizes are the coveted, the prestigious Green Ronini.
That's
And
right.
eternal
Yes,
bragging rights, of course, and the free PDF of your choice from the Green Ronin store.
that's right. That's right. Winners just have to give me a ping, and you tell me what it is that you have chosen from the store, and it will be
Mhm.
yours.
Well, and take a look here. This is Big Nate's entry.
Just good stuff. There's a
Yeah,
couple of his Mosswalkers. I love that.
in the Thistletines, as well as Beetle Folk and the Antlords. Just a lot of great stuff. Great ideas
Hey,
here.
I'm a real big fan. There's a book out there. It's called Atta, Atta, and
Mhm.
it's the story of a man who has shrunk down. He did something like I think that he was having a frustrating moment in his life, and then he saw a bunch of ants that were eating a pizza that he had brought out for a picnic with his loved one, I think. But it really gets it like he shrinks down and now is suddenly contending with an ant hive and its
Mhm.
traditions and rituals and customs, and it's such a good book, and your the way that you put this together kind of reminded me of that. I really liked it. So yeah, really phenomenal job.
Awesome. But the really good job that Nate did on the races there. I really enjoyed those. Also, in my article, I did include some plot hooks, like I tried to do with everything that I put in there.
Now I loved your
Um,
stuff, but I was talking about Nate's stuff.
yeah, that was Nate's stuff.
just to be sure. Yeah. I mean, I
No
love
worries.
your work as well.
Well, thank you. Oh, I appreciate it. Anyway, we've got, of course, in the store right now. Hold on, let me do this. Make that look better. One moment. Broop. There we go. Chrono Crisis, Part 3, Havoc for the Ages, Eminem Astonishing Adventures. It's on sale now. You go to the product lines and you go to latest releases, and
Yeah.
you will see it there in the store,
You
ready
will
to be
soon also
purchased.
see it when you just go to the front page of the store. That's just a little switch we need to flip. But
That's right.
stay tuned and share that with a friend. Let them know that the number 3 is out. I mean, people have been have had their eyeballs on it for the early previews. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I read through it. It was really kind of like a frantic madcap dash to the end, which I appreciated.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
super fun. I love reading through it. And I love getting the early stuff because I'm a member of the Cape and Cow Club.
That's right.
We get the little extras here and there, and getting early releases and getting, basically a great version of it for free. Well, basically because we're part of the club, and the club is not expensive at all. It's $8 per month, and
That's
you
right.
get great things like these adventures. You
Yep.
get great things like other previews and ideas, and not to mention the workshop that we're doing for the Pinewood project.
Yep.
Loving that, learning more about the
Stat
industry
blocks
and
you get. You also
exactly
get. I love the mix.
mashups. The mix-ups, that's
The
it.
mix-ups are hilarious because it really came out of this was an extension of our Patreon program, and
Mhm.
what I love is kind of putting Alex and Steve in sort of these perplexing sort of like, what are they doing, what, where, and who are they? And so we just made it a kind of a fun activity, and so basically it's you get to vote on unlikely heroes or villains in a space. You vote on the circumstance and the location,
The
and
people in the place, yeah.
Steve and Alex figure out a way to make sense of it
They've gotta make it work, people.
and make it work. I love
That's
that.
right, and he does, so they do, so sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
It's fantastic job doing that. But there's so much that you're gonna be getting out of, Cave and Cow Club, especially in the future with that play testing that's coming down the pike that I can't really talk about. I know a little about it. They're bursting at the seams, but I must remain quiet.
yeah. Because everyone's under NDA.
I know,
So yeah.
and
But
there's
it's
that firing squad that's
let me just say,
outside.
friends, you'll want to be there. You will want to be there.
You will.
So,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
Well, friendo, I feel like we have come to the end of our what's in the tank offerings, unless you've got something else to share.
That is all I got for now. Just posted the contest in the think tank. Don't forget, it is the Fae inspired, the Fae Touched, the Fae and Fabulous challenge. You remember when you put hashtag Fae Touched and Mumamo challenge on your entry in the Aegis files, and stat block out some Fae races or some Fae characters. Let's
Heck,
see them.
yes. Hey, next weekend you're going to see an actual play run by Alex. If folks were waiting for that this weekend, we bumped it. Alex was feeling under the weather. I demanded it because he looked like, like if someone made a Madame Tussauds wax figure of him, but they left it in the sun.
Just a little too long.
Just
Yeah.
a little too long or at all. Like
Just imagine.
he was definitely melty.
I believe it was the pneumonic plague. There were the rats in Europe involved. I'm not
The
really sure.
pneumonic plague.
Yes, the pneumonic plague. It
I
was.
love that. Plague leg. Hey, Devious, thank you so much for coming to share all the good stuff in the tank. I want to give you this.
Oh, was it good for you?
It was all right. It was all right.
Okay.
But you know what? Michael, I hope you enjoy it. I'm super glad that we can entertain you during your work meal break, and hopefully we live up to the to the thing. And Faye Ray, what am I doing? I'm just clicking random things.
Whatever
And,
happened to Fae Ray? Sorry.
right, and this is what I love. Good call, Troy. Thank you, Doc Void. And I'm presuming you mean that about every decision I've made up to now in the last 90 minutes. So
Or
I'll
30
take
years.
or 30 years. Weird because I'm 22. So okay, well, I think that is that. Anything you'd
Indeed.
like to add?
I would just like to thank all the contributions coming in from Matt Maybray and Steinbrewer, and also the fantastic articles written by all the people that contribute to the tank, like Paul Rua and Mr. Jason Cochran. Just keep getting in there, keep bringing it, get in the tank.
Yeah, it was close to what I was looking for, but what else might we
I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Well, all right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Monday here on Mutants Masterminds Monday. Goodbye.
Bye bye.